From day one, this regime has been working to undermine the education department, including by hiring a secretary of education who does not believe in public education and who actually has, as far as I know, little to none experience with education issues. And then he issued on day one an executive order, or very shortly after his inauguration, an executive order to close the Department of Education. Then he fired nearly half of the department's workforce. He has withheld funding for some programs, in fact, some major programs that are through the Department of Education, and rescinding funding for a number of programs, not just in the Department of Education, but in other departments. So rescinding means, as you probably all know, this is money that the Congress has already appropriated in a bipartisan way, and he came in and said, I think we should rescind billions of dollars that's going to whatever other programs unilaterally. So it's been chaotic, to say the least. Most recently, the regime has sought to illegally transfer dozens of ED programs worth over $30 billion to other federal agencies, specifically the Departments of Labor, Interior, Health and Human Services, and State. These agencies have limited capacity to run these programs, no experience dealing with them, and have seen their own programs, their own budgets cut. So this regime has already tried to transfer a much smaller number of ED programs to another agency. I think it was the Department of Labor earlier this year. And by its own assessment, this transfer did not work. And yet they are pursuing transferring even larger programs to other agencies. And in spite of the fact that their earlier transfer of a smaller program did not work, they are pursuing these transfers. It's not going to work. So clearly, the success of these ED programs is not what this regime is looking to see happen. This forum will help to inform students and families about the threats this reckless regime poses so that we can empower them, as I mentioned, to fight back. It has always been Trump's plan to abolish the Department of Education. For almost a year now, he has been following the proposal laid out in Project 2025, beginning, as I mentioned, with his decision to hire a Secretary of Education whose goal is to eliminate her position and to basically eliminate the Department of Education. And we all know what happened when the president summarily fired almost half of the members, the workers at the Department of Education. In fact, there was a rally that I attended to support our educators who were summarily fired, leading, of course, to yet another lawsuit, over 300 lawsuits to try and stop the illegal actions of this regime. And that litigation is still pending, although there are some of our Department of Education workforce who has been called back to help them deal with some of the issues that have resulted as a result of their chaotic actions. And I just want to mention that when we had a hearing, this is an aside, when the Judiciary Committee held a hearing, I am a member of that committee, and we had the head of the Justice Department, Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, testifying. And she accused me of attending a rally that was supported by Antifa. I had no idea what the heck she was talking about. When I went back to my office, I asked my staff, was I at a rally on the date that I was alleged to have been at this rally with Antifa people? And my staff said, you were at a rally in support of the teachers who had just gotten fired. So, fact-checking is not high on the list of this regime's. Okay, I just wanted to mention that because I so support what all of you are doing. So then, as I mentioned, he used an executive order to dismantle the department, and he used the quotes, maximum extent possible. The layoffs created chaos, not to mention all the other things that he's been doing. So, one more thing that I would like to mention, I think some of you may have read that one of the first programs that basically got hollowed out was the Office of Civil Rights within the Department of Education. They now have, I think, over 24,000 complaints, civil rights complaints, that this office obviously do not have people there to deal with. 24,000 civil rights complaints going pretty much unanswered or being dismissed summarily. And then he withheld billions of dollars in federal funding. There are some states who, faced with this kind of federal shortfall for their education programs, had to appropriate millions in state funds to make up some of the shortfall. This is the kind of chaos that's been created. And then the big ugly bill created the first ever national school voucher program. We had a spotlight hearing on that because the school voucher program is to benefit private schools. And the diversion of tax dollars that will go to this first ever school voucher program, encouraging people to contribute money to go to this private school voucher program, is going to divert, it estimates, $50 to $100 billion per year that will go to private schools, money that should be going into the coffers to support programs such as education. Amazing, isn't it? I think, Randy, you were here for that. So the voucher program, what people can do is to donate money for the voucher program, and they will get a dollar for dollar tax credit for making those kinds of contributions. And then, of course, in his latest scheme, the subject of this hearing is that they are illegally moving nearly all federal K-12 programs and a number of higher ed programs to other agencies that do not have the capacity to successfully run this program. And so this effort to get into these agreements, which they already have and then entered into, leading to yet more lawsuits that the state of Hawaii has also joined, and challenging what this regime is doing. And as I mentioned earlier, they had earlier tried to transfer about $2.2 billion in education programs to the Department of Labor. That failed, but this time they're now seeking to move some $30 billion worth of programs. And we know that's going to fail, but this is an administration that is setting things up for failure so that they can tell the American people, hey, guess what? We tried to make things better. It failed. So yet another reason that the Department of Education is unnecessary. And in fact, the Secretary of Education wrote an op-ed saying the shutdown proved that the Department of Education is not necessary. See, that's the kind of reasoning that education is supposed to teach us not to engage in. So, meanwhile, you have a Secretary of Education using that kind of rationale. Tell that to all the constituents who called me saying, you know, the Education Department is closed. We need them. We have questions. So the idea that the shutdown and the closure of the Department of Education proves that they're not needed is could not be more wrong.